Hello, everybody.
Hey, can I have a go?
Well, sure.
Thank you.
So today's topic is the LOA isn't working for me.
I'm sorry, this banjo doesn't work.
Well,
It's not working for me anyway.
it might take a little bit more skill and a little bit more practice.
Which is exactly our point. So obviously, Steve has been playing the banjo for a while, so he was able to do it. Now, like anything, when we learn something new, you know, when we don't get it right, when it seems to not be working, you don't stop and go, well, banjos don't work, or I can't play it, or bicycles don't work. When you're learning to ride a bicycle, you overbalance, or I'll never learn to ride a bicycle. When you're learning something, you make mistakes. It doesn't quite, it looks like it's never going to happen, and you keep going until it does. And it's the same with the law of attraction. The idea is to develop the skill and the skill of maintaining your focus on staying in the
Maintaining your focus, staying in alignment. Pay no attention to the telephone ringing.
You want to take that call?
No.
The idea is to develop the skill of maintaining your focus on what you want and staying in alignment with what you want while you haven't got it yet. In the same way, like you were saying this morning about the,
it's a little bit trickier, I think, with law of attraction, self-development, as we're trying to make changes which seem a little less tangible than practicing an instrument, learning a skill, doing something that has more tangible results. It's like learning that new piece of music. So it's like I have something that I'm focusing on. It seems like an achievable goal. How do I know when I've reached it? Somehow with law of attraction, self-development work, changing ourselves, it's not that there aren't tangible results, but it seems a little bit more out there.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So, but it really does translate exactly the same way.
Yeah.
So when I was learning how to play the banjo for instance, I was making all kinds of wrong notes, but what I had in mind was a couple of awesome players that I used as an example. They were out there. It's like, okay, can I embody what it feels like to be them? Can I embody what it feels like to play this song correctly?
Right.
So,
and a point I want to make there, actually, because this is something that a lot of people say, well, I can't feel wealthy because I've never been wealthy, and I can't feel well because I've never been well, or I can't imagine what it's like to be in a happy relationship because I've never experienced it. But before you learn a skill, you haven't experienced it yet either. So if you're learning to play the banjo or the guitar, or learning a new language, whatever it is, you don't know, you haven't experienced what it's like to play the banjo yet, but you've seen other people do it, you've found out how to do it, and then you develop the skill, and then you practice. And the law of attraction is exactly the same. So let's say you want to be in a happy relationship, and you've never had one. You've seen other people have happy relationships, right?
That sounds kind of desperate. But you've never been in one.
Well, you know what I mean. Or you want money, and you've never had the amount of money that you want.
Yes.
You've seen it. You've seen movies and television. You can imagine what it would be like, and then see the so-called failures. Well, it's not working. Why isn't it working yet? I've been visualizing, doing exercise, whatever you're using, and it hasn't happened yet. See that as the wrong notes when you're practicing the instrument, when you're learning to play the instrument. So see that as the wrong notes and just keep going. Now, and the song that you want to play is the end result. So when you're learning the banjo or any other instrument or anything else, rather than focusing on the wrong notes and continuing to play the wrong notes, you've got Happy Birthday in mind, or whatever the song is that you're trying to learn. As at the same time you're playing the wrong notes, your mind is focused on the song you want to play or the piece of music you want to play. This is the same. While you're looking at your empty bank account, your focus is on what you do want, what you're aiming for, not on the thing you don't want. And just like the banjo, just like any instrument, any skill at all, this is a skill as well. So you're developing the skill of being able to look at what you don't want, look at the wrong notes, and still keep your focus, your feeling, your focus, your intention on the end result you do want, the song you're learning.
Right? I think one little thing there, one little story that kind of popped out as you were talking there was I was thinking about my 3 kids who are professional musicians in their own right, and I'm remembering some of the lessons that they learned. One that stands out was as my son was preparing, I think, for a senior recital or something, that he had put hours and hours and hours into practicing this one piece. I think it was a piano recital that he was doing, and his instructor told him, to put all of that practice in, but the last thing that he would do would be to not play the piano and just imagine, get himself into practicing what it was going to look like doing it perfectly on the stage.
Yes.
So if we spend our time and looking forward to and practicing as if it is already here, as opposed to focusing on the bad notes.
Right.
And focusing on those bad notes, focusing on the empty bank account, focusing on the lack of a relationship is really just focusing on the fact that I'm playing bad notes. And if I continue to play the bad notes and focus on the bad notes, that's all I'm going to continue to create.
Right. And again, can't reiterate this enough. It is a skill. So the fact that you can't play the instrument right now, or that you can't ride a bicycle right now, doesn't mean you never will. The fact that you can't feel good and keep your focus on the good stuff while you're experiencing the bad stuff right now doesn't mean you can't. It just means you need to practice more. You need more skill. You need to develop the skill of staying in alignment with it, maintaining, feeling good while you are still facing the bad stuff. So, we've used this analogy before. If you imagine you're driving along a road to a destination, and so your intention and your focus is on that end destination, and you drive through a storm. Well, you don't want to be stopping the car, getting out of the storm, and focusing on the storm, because that's where you're going to stay. So as you go through the storm, you're not denying there's a storm. You're going, yep, there's a storm, very interesting, but I'm going there. And this is the same. Yes, there's no money in my bank account, very interesting, but I'm going, and you focus on what you do want. Or yes, I don't have the relationship I want right now. Interesting, it's just scenery, it's just a storm, I'm moving through it, and keep your focus on where you plan to end up, not on where you are right now. So hopefully that helps. Another analogy, sorry, I know you would love to get a word in again, but
maybe I'll just play my banjo.
And another analogy that I think is very useful is if you had a weed in your garden, like a big weed that was killing everything else, and you try to get that weed out and you can't get it out, it's too difficult. You wouldn't just go, well, we'll leave it there then. You wouldn't just, you might, but you wouldn't just give up and go, well, I'll never have a nice garden. You would do whatever it takes. You would try different methods. You would maybe in the end, you'd need to hire professionals to come in and get rid of the weed for you, but you wouldn't just leave it there, killing the rest of the plants. But that is what a lot of us do mentally. So I haven't been able to focus on the good stuff. So yeah, there we go.
Well, I think
keep trying new things.
I think that the point that we're trying to make is that there's a shift in the way that you're thinking. So if you're thinking about the law of attraction as a skill that you can also, you're applying, as opposed to, yes, it is a law, it's always working, of course, but if you can see it as developing the state, developing that emotional state, developing that state is a skill that you can
Yes.
learn, that you can practice. So if you can start to see it that way, as opposed to, well, it didn't work first time out the gate, so I'm going to chuck that.
Right. I've thought of another one. So, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm full of them. But gravity is a law,
Mhm.
right? But let's say I want to fall through the air. Now, falling through the air is a skill. Your face. I mean, skydiving. You know, I would need to develop whatever skill a person needs to go skydiving, right? I'm not going to just go, well, I'm here, gravity's not working. I don't know if that's an ideal analogy, but you get the idea. You get the idea.
The point is, just because something isn't working doesn't mean that we just are going to chuck it all.
Right.
You know, recognizing that it's a skill you can develop. We are offering, or we have a technique that we are using to help people get into and maintain those higher levels of being in higher emotional states.
Yes.
If you'd like some more information on that, as always, just take a look in the comments in the description below. And if you have any questions for us, please leave them there as well.
Absolutely. All right. And so have a fantastic week, and we will see you all, and keep practicing.
And if you liked Odil's banjo playing,
Yes.
give us a like.
And if you've
We
joined
appreciate
us,
that.
if you've joined us late, do go back and watch the recording of this, because there's I play a fantastic piece on the banjo in the beginning of this video.
All right, everybody, have a
Bye.
great week. We'll see you next time.